All right. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say call halalyum Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakah Quitash. All right, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who have taught me this truth and who rule well in this truth. Shalom to the 144,000 and the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel that is scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Peace and mercy unto you. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you are the true Hebrew Israelites that the Bible speaks of. You are the true chosen people of the book. All right, so if you've been following my channel, all right, if you watch my videos, all right, you understand and know that I've been going into a book lately, all right, called Population Control by Jim Mars, which goes into all the ways Esau Edom goes about to depopulate this earth. Because Esau Edom, starting with the elite banking families, they have an agenda to bring forth the New World Order. And part of that New World Order agenda is to depopulate the masses of this earth. All right, because the least people they are, the easier it is to control them, man. All right, when you look at the Georgia Guidestones, all right, one of the orders of the Georgia Guidestones is what? To bring down the population of this earth to 500 million, man. All right. So again, when you go into that book, Population Control goes into all the ways Esau Edom goes about to depopulate this earth, which goes into the chemtrails, all right, the poisoning of the water supply, the food supply, all right, bringing GMO foods, all right, into the markets, all right, creating genetically engineered and modified foods, man. All right, in that book, all right, referenced another book, which is this book right here you see on screen. All right, so as reading that book, I was like, let me see what this book is about. All right, which this book is called Altered Genes. All right, and Twisted Truth, which also goes into the genetically modified foods. All right, the genetically engineered foods. All right, and as the title reads, Altered Genes, yeah, because that's what they do with these plants and fruits. All right, Esau being the damn devil that he is. All right, Esau Edom, the so-called white man. All right, starting with the elite banking families. All right, that's one of the ways that he goes about depopulating, man. All right, bring genetically modified foods onto the shelves. All right, what they do is alter genes. All right, splice genes. All right, changing the DNA of plants and fruits. All right, that's why you have seedless fruits. All right, and that's against the scriptures, mingling seeds and creating hybrids, all right, to bring forth something that doesn't exist in nature. All right, that's what Esau Edom does. What he's trying to do is rewrite, nature software. All right, that's that God complex that Esau Edom has, man. Trying to create something new that never existed, that the Heavenly Father didn't create. And when you do these things, all right, there's consequences to it, man. When you consume things that don't exist in nature, man, that destroys you, bro. All right, and we gonna get into that, man. All right, so you got altered genes, man. All right, and that's what Esau Edom does. He takes viruses, right, and bacterium, all right, and he injects it in these plants and these fruits to alter the genes, man, to rewrite the DNA of these plants and fruits and crops and all of that, man. All right, we gonna get into it, man. All right, Altered Genes, Twisted Truth. All right, how the venture to genetically engineer our food has subverted science, corrupted government, and systematically deceived the public. That's right, man. All right, so what we gonna get into today is the foreword. All right, because going into the book Population Control, all right, reference, all right, this forward right here, right, written by Jane Goodall, man. All right, so let's get into that, man. All right, let's get into it, man. All right, it says, I well remember how horrified I felt when I learned that scientists had succeeded in reconfiguring the genetics of plants and animals. All right, now if that doesn't sound wicked as hell to you, all right, then I don't know what does, bro. All right, and Esau Edom being the wicked that the Bible speaks of. All right, he'll do something like this. All right, reconfigure the genetics of plants and animals, bro. Come on, bro. How the hell you try to rewrite somebody's genes and DNA, bro? That's wild as hell, bro. That's Esau Edom, that God complex trying to play the Most High, man, as it is written in Second Thessalonians, all right, the second chapter, man. All right. So again, it says, I well remember how horrified I felt when I learned that scientists had succeeded in reconfiguring the genetics of plants and animals. The first genetically engineered plants were created in the 1980s, but I did not hear about them until the 1990s when they were first commercialized, all right? So you got all types of, and this is, this ain't new knowledge anymore, man. Like the scriptures say, all right, knowledge shall increase. Many people know about the GMOs and the genetically engineered foods and all that, and you still got tons of people who still don't even know, man. Zombified people, man, don't even know they eating fake bullshit, man. All right, excuse my French. All right, they don't even know that they eating nothing but retarded shit, bro. You people buy foods without even reading labels, you know? Don't even know you eating foods that have been bleached, all right? With bleach and chlorine. You know, the chicken that you buy in the stores, you know? It tells you right on the ingredients, man. You use bleach. It tells you bleached flour, you know? Dough conditioners. Come on, man. It says the first genetically engineered plants were created in the 1980s, all right? But I did not hear about them until the 1990s when they were first commercialized, all right? It seemed a shocking corruption of the life forms of the planet, and it was not surprising that many people were as appalled as I was, and that these altered organisms, all right, became known as frankenfoods. Yeah, so they altered the genes of these organisms, the DNA of these organisms, the plants, the fruits, and all of that. That sounds crazy as hell. That's why they're known as frankenfoods, all right? Esau's a madman. He's that mad scientist. You know? All right, it says, in fact, there were good science-based reasons to mistrust the new foods. Yeah, these genetically foods, man. All right. In fact, there were good science-based reasons to mistrust the new foods. Yet, genetically engineered crops have been spread throughout North America and several other parts of the world. How has this come about? All right. Really, because it's prophecy, man. All right. The scriptures say in Ezekiel, the 4th chapter, all right, that the Israelites, all right, wherever they have been scattered to, that they will eat their food defiled amongst the Gentiles, man. It was prophecy that we will be eating poisonous foods, man. You see? All right. It says the answer to that question, matter of fact, let's pull that up real quick. All right, I just don't want to talk about it. Let's pull that up real quick. This is Ezekiel, the 4th chapter. All right. Let's get it real quick. All right. All right. Let's get it. Right here. All right. So this is Ezekiel. All right. The 4th chapter. All right. Verse 13. It says, and the Lord Yahweh said, even thus the children of Israel being who? You Negroes, you Latinos, you Native Americans, you Seminole Indians, you West Indians, Haitians, and Brazilians. All right, you are the children of Israel, man. And also the Israelites that are scattered throughout the 4 corners of the earth, under the other nations, looking like the other nations. All right, if you receive this truth, all right, if you believe in this truth, you are Israelite, man. All right. It says Ezekiel 4 and 13, all right? And the Lord Yahweh said, even thus shall the children of Israel eat their defiled bread among the Gentiles, whither I will drive them. Yeah, because that was prophecy, right? That the Israelites were going to be scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and that wherever they were scattered, they're going to what? Eat their bread, eat their defiled bread, man. Meaning their food, man, will be defiled and poisonous, man. You know? And that's why we eat these GMO foods, man. All right? And it says, and so let's continue reading. Let's go back into this book. It says, the answer to that question is to be found in Stephen Druker's meticulously researched book. All right, several years in the making. It is a fascinating, if chilling story. All right, I did not realize what a formidable task the bioengineers faced as they struggled to introduce new genes into a variety of agricultural crops. All right, new genes, man. All right. It says their intent was to make them produce toxins, all right, that would deter insect pests or enable them to resist herbicides and so on. Yeah, because when you read Population Control by Jim Mars, when you go into the chapter that's labeled GMOs, all right, I think that's chapter maybe 12, all right, or 13, all right, labeled GMOs, all right, it goes into how they create foods, all right, genetically engineer foods, all right, they create genetically engineered foods to resist the herbicides and the pesticides they put upon the foods, man. All right, so it doesn't destroy the foods and all of that, man. You know. All right. So it says so you're eating foods that are able to not be destroyed by poison. So when they put the poison on them, the herbicides, all right, and the pesticides on them, you eating all that with the fake food, and bro, you eating fake food with poison on top of it, man. You know. All right, it says their intent was to make them produce toxins, all right, that would deter insect pests or enable them to resist herbicides and so on. All right, a major challenge was the need to overcome the various defensive mechanisms of the plants themselves. You see, all right, which did their best to repel the alien material. All right, another was to compel the foreign genes, all right, to function in a cellular environment, in a cellular environment where they would ordinarily remain dormant. All right, it is a testament to human persistence and ingenuity that the scientists finally succeeded. All right, let me read that again, bro, because that might went over your head. All right, it says, I did not realize what a formidable task the bioengineers faced as they struggled to introduce new genes into a variety of agricultural crops. All right. Their intent was to make them produce toxins that would deter insect pests or enable them to resist herbicides and so on. A major challenge was the need to overcome the various defense mechanisms of the plants themselves, all right, which did their best to repel the alien material, all right? So they, come on, bro. All right, it says another was to compel the foreign genes, all right? Another was to compel the foreign genes to function in a cellular environment where they would ordinarily remain dormant. It is a testament to human persistence and ingenuity, all right, that the scientists finally succeeded, all right? But the reconfigured plants, bro, all right, meaning their genes and DNA have been altered, all right? But the reconfigured plants they eventually created were, as Druker explains in engaging detail, different in a variety of ways from their parents, All right. And from the outset, many qualified scientists expressed concerns about the safety of the new crops for both the environment and human and animal health. All right. He further demonstrates that this is excuse me, he further demonstrate that this very real difference between genetically engineered plants and their conventional counterparts is one of the basic truths that biotech proponents have endeavored to obscure. All right. As part of the process, all right, they portrayed the various concerns as merely the ignorant opinions of misinformed individuals and derided them as not only unscientific but anti-science. You see? All right, come on, man. All right, it says they then set to work to convince the public and government officials through dissemination of false information that there was an overwhelming expert consensus based on solid evidence that the new foods were safe. Yet this, as Druker points out, was clearly not true. So these fake foods, these genetically altered foods, man, that Esau Edom be creating, all right, is the total opposite of what safe is, man. Straight poisonous, because they're not real foods. They're created by man, not created by the Most High. You're to eat everything that the Most High created, man. All right, which has seeds in it, like the scriptures say. All right, the Lord created every herb, all right, bearing seed, man, like it tells you in the book of Genesis, the first chapter, man. All right, the Lord created every herb bearing seed, man. All right, it says, as the chapters progress, all right, we read how the advocates of genetic engineering have steadfastly maintained that the crops created by this radical technology are essentially similar to those from which they have been derived, that the process is splendidly exact, and that genetically engineered foods therefore are, if anything, safer than the traditionally bred parents, when in fact there's significantly dissimilarity. All right, the process is far from exact. All right, and the risks are greater, especially the risk of creating unexpected toxins that are difficult to detect. All right, Druker describes how amazingly successful the biotech lobby has been. All right, and the extent to which the general public and government decision makers have been hoodwinked, all right, by the clever and methodical, all right, twisting of the facts and the propagation of many myths. All right. Moreover, it appears that a number of respected scientific institutions, all right, as well as many eminent scientists were complicit, all right, in this relentless spreading of disinformation. All right, see, because they're all bought and paid for, man. These universities, all right, and institutions and these scientists, man, they're all bought and paid for, man. All right, to spread disinformation, man, to spread myths and bullshit, man. All right. It says, chapter 5 shows how the key step in the commercialization of genetically engineered foods occurred through the unbelievably poor judgment, if not downright corruption, all right, of the U.S. and Food and Drug Administration. Yeah, the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, is totally corrupt, bro. Totally corrupt. The Food and Drug Administration is totally corrupt, bro. They're bought and paid for too by the elites, man, by the elite banking families. All right. It says this regulatory, all right, it says this regulatory body is supposed to ensure that the new additives to foods are safe, all right, before they come to market. And it had a responsibility to require that genetically engineered foods, all right, were proven safe through standard scientific testing, all right. But the information that Druker pried, all right, yeah, because the FDA is supposed to keep us safe, All right, but literally the total opposite, man, because that's not the agenda, man. The agenda is to keep you zombified, bro, because that's what these foods do. All right, which they shouldn't even be called foods. That's what these poisons do, man, that you people eat, man. To zombify you, man. It tells you that in Population Control by Jim Mars, man, that these foods are created to zombify the people, man. To keep them docile and dumbed down, man. So you people have no idea what's going on. So you don't know that there's an agenda at hand that's bigger than your measly mind, man. You know? People don't know what's going on, man. Y'all done, man. Y'all finished, man. All right? It says, but the information that Druker pried, all right, from the agency's files through a lawsuit revealed that it apparently ignored and covered up the concerns of its own scientists and then violated a federal statute and its own regulations by permitting genetically engineered foods to be marketed without any testing whatsoever. All right. The evidence further shows how the agency assured consumers, all right, that genetically engineered foods are just as safe as naturally produced ones. Okay. All right. And that their safety has been confirmed by solid scientific evidence, despite the fact it knew that no such evidence existed. All right. Druker makes the case that it was this fraud that truly enabled the genetically engineered food venture to take off. All right. And he asserts, all right, that the fraud continues to deceive the public and Congress. All right. Despite the fact that the lawsuit he initiated thoroughly exposed it. All right. His description of the proceedings surrounding this lawsuit was, to me, one of the most astounding and chilling parts of the book. All right. And what of the role, it says, and what of the role of the media? And how have the American public been so largely kept in the dark about the realities of genetically engineered foods? All right. To the extent that until quite recently, a vast majority of the populace did not even know they were regularly consuming them. Druker describes, all right, in chapter 8, how the mainstream media have been highly selective in what they report, and that's completely true. That's completely true. When you because the elite banking families, they control the media. They control what you hear and see, man. That's why you people are zombified. Have no idea what's happening, what's going on. All right. All right. And the mainstream media is controlled by the Rockefeller family. All right, which the Rockefeller family is one of the satanic Illuminati banking families. All right. When you read Bloodlines of the Illuminati, which goes into the 13 satanic Illuminati bloodlines, all right, Illuminati satanic banker families, all right, the Rockefellers is one of them, and it tells you how they control the media, man. They control the education system. Okay, they control they fund the Christian church and those that oppose the Christian church. So they play both hands, man. All right. It says the mainstream media have been highly selective in what they report. Yeah. All right, because they're all the news media outlets are controlled by the bankers, man. The satanic banking families, all right? All right, it says, and have consistently failed to convey information that would cause concern about these engineered products. All right. Moreover, Druker demonstrates that the policies, all right, imposed by the media magnates, all right, have been, in his words, not merely selective but suppressive. All right. And he relates several dramatic incidents in which journalists who tried to bring unsettling facts to light had their stories altered or totally squashed by higher level executives. Yeah, we know that, bro, because come on, bro. We know the agenda. We know what's going on, bro. Wake the hell up, man. We already know what's happening, but some of y'all just done up out here, man. Most of y'all, just about every single last one of y'all, man. The only people that know what's truly going on, all right, are the true prophets and the true servants of the Lord, the 144,000, and the great multitude that follows behind the 144,000, man. All right. It says, so it is not surprising that the American public and a good many key decision makers believe that there are no legitimate concerns regarding genetically engineered foods. All right. I am personally grateful to Stephen Druker for writing this book. It has been a monumental task and reflects the passionate desire of a man with a true scientific spirit, all right, to reveal as precisely as possible the truth behind the misinterpretations of the truth. All right. Nonetheless, despite its integrity, Altered Genes Twisted Truth can be expected to meet fierce criticism from those who promote the genetically engineered venture and, like all who attempt to disclose the venture's underside, its author, all right, will probably be attacked and branded as anti-science and anti-progress, all right? But it seems to me that it is not those who point to the problems of the venture who are anti-science. It is quite the other way around. Nevertheless, Druker will almost surely be subjected to the same sort of criticisms as those leveled against Rachel Carson, all right, when she published Silent Spring. And I love when other books mention other books, man. All right, because that might be another book I might have to go into. All right, it says the same sort of criticisms as those leveled against Rachel Carson when she published Silent Spring in 1962. All right, and I'll read this little bit because as you see right here, my battery's about to die. All right, 21%. I got 20 minutes left, which is really not, it's probably like 10 minutes. All right, but let me read this real quick, and then that'll be it. All right, and Lord willing, this lesson is edifying, man. All right, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Ratazah, this lesson is edifying, man. All right, it says, I think it is important that you read this book carefully, assessing, all right, for yourself how firmly it is grounded in fact and logic. All right, you may well come to the same conclusion as I have, that Stephen Druker is upholding the tradition of good science. All right, then read some of the books and articles written by genetically engineered scientists. All right, especially, all right, some of those by prominent biologists, and you may well decide that their standards often fall significantly short of his. All right, and these scientists that are pro genetically engineered foods, that's because they're the damn devil and they're bought and paid for, man. All right. It says, in fact, he points out several instances in which it appears that such publications are downright deceptive. Of course, bro. All right. Not only portraying genetically engineering in a misleading manner, but you got to be dumb as hell to think. Come on, bro. It doesn't take, that much common sense to understand that genetically engineered foods is dangerous and bro, it's just done up out here, bro. Come on, man. You got dumbass people thinking that genetically engineered foods is good, bro. All right. It says further, all right, although these scientists have many Further, although these scientists may genuinely believe that genetically engineered foods are the solution for world hunger, it appears that many of them have vastly overestimated the benefits of these foods, and that even if these products did not entail higher risk, it's doubtful they could significantly reduce malnutrition or solve any major problems of agriculture. Yeah, because these genetically engineered foods have no true nutrition in them, man. Nutritional benefits, man. All right, so Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. That was just the forward, man. That's not even, we ain't even going to the chapters yet. That's just the forward by what's her name, Jane Goodall, man. All right, Jane Goodall, man, the foreword of this book, man. We ain't go to the chapters yet. All right. And if it be the Lord's will, I'll go more into this book, man. All right. So Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Ratazah, this lesson was edifying, man. All right. Call Halalyum Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakah Quitash. All right. So with that being said, until the next one, Shalom, Shalom.